Tap in. Tap in. Tell your grandmama. Tell a friend. Tap in. Tap in. Business, music, smarter finance. Bound to win. Tap in. Tap in. Business, music, finance. If you trying to win. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Wham. This is Business Music Finance, the show that gives you the game you need to know, intelligent topics, no drama, no gossip. Today, this episode is for the dudes. Why it's needed to me is too many males are in positions where we are getting the short end of the stick, or we have made irreversible mistakes, and I believe it's our fault. I believe that we have not been given the game properly from the older, and so I'm here with my boy today to kind of give you the game. And my boy is AK. What's up, bro?
What's up?
How was last night?
Last night was chill, man.
Why were you late? Let's let the people know. We got to start talking a lot about real life stuff, so this is the best way to do it.
I'm late because I don't sleep. I don't sleep properly. That's my problem. I was on a 24-hour excursion, as you call it, playing cards for a while.
Playing cards. We're talking about poker. There's so many lessons in life with poker.
There can be. You can learn a lot. One of them is that if you don't regulate your sleep, you will be late.
What about the other one?
What's the other one?
Where you just can't beat somebody who's bad.
You just can't. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just cannot beat people who are absolutely terrible at the game, and that's okay. It's humbling.
Bad as in you're better than them, or just like
bad as in if good were what most people are, they would be the 1% opposite of that, where they literally are trying to give their money away, and everybody can take their money except for me. That is how.
That's the definition of bad.
That's the definition of it. Yeah. Anyway.
So we want to make sure you don't get put in those type of positions.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that spot.
And ladies, we will never understand you.
Never.
We can read.
We'll try our best.
Yes, we will. We can read books. You know, I personally read The Body Keeps the Score. It taught me about trauma and how that affects the brain and how the brain reacts to the body.
You be reading.
Yeah. I've held women while they've cried and told me about their past and their sexual assaults and other things that have happened in their life.
Yeah.
But we will never understand you. Therefore, this is not for...
Try our best, though.
Try our best. But this is not for you. This is for the dudes. So please respect our views as we're going to respect yours. Don't see us on the street and start talking crazy, because that's not what this is for. This is hopefully to assist males get better at life.
But if you do see us on the street, you want to talk crazy, I'm okay with it. I'm down to have a conversation.
Yeah, as long as you respect
anything I say. You can always call me on anything I say.
Yes, we will have some questions just for this guy, and hopefully he'll be able to give you some good answers.
And just so you know, my answers are not important. I have no one. But this is just how I feel, and this is what I've seen from talking to a lot of my women friends who have told me, put me on game.
Yeah.
Which I think is key. I think every man should have at least 5 women out there that are not in his rotation that he just converses with.
And they're not family either.
Not family either. That he converses with and just ask about specific topics. It's very key. It's very enlightening.
And straight off the bat, if you don't have 5 women in your friend group, that's a yellow flag. You got no female friends?
Yeah. But some guys say they don't want female friends, which I think is strange, but that's just my personal thought.
Maybe they have AI, a female AI or a sex doll. And then finally, we all know that young people aren't going to listen to certain people unless you meet that resume, right? You can't get a certain job unless you have certain qualifications. And so the reason I have AK here is because if dating women was a, let's just say we have a very diversified portfolio. Would you say that? Would you say your portfolio is diversified?
I like to think that I have been trying to date in a holistic capacity for a long time. I've been a student of the game for a long time.
Facts.
People always ask me why I'm not in a relationship, and I'm like, it's the same reason why Coach doesn't play.
Hey, that's hard.
I'm just saying. I stay on one side of it because I see what happens on the other side of it. So
I got it. Diversified portfolio to me means you can go outside of your ethnic group and still like to be able to have a conversation with a female.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because if you ask anybody who's known me for a long time, the automatic consensus would be like, oh yeah, like I prefer outside my date or my ethnicity, but like not necessarily. Like I really don't. It's just circumstance. And a lot of places that I've been have been more conducive to that. Also, if you didn't know this, or if you knew this and forgot, the population in America is very heavy in one direction.
It's snowing a lot in America.
75%, 3/4 of the population. So I mean, it's a numbers game, honestly. But I tell people that all the time, like you have to either actively be searching for one thing to like boost the numbers in that, or if you just kind of go with the flow, then the numbers are gonna play the way
It show themselves. Like a good coach is gonna get the best players across the country, no matter where they're from. Also, it's funny you bring that up. I think that I pretty much dated every different type of ethnic female except for an Indian and an Asian that have very old school parents.
You're missing out.
Like the ones that if they bring me home, they get disowned. I was really close with a couple, but it was like, I like you, but my family, and that's family values, right? And that's one of the things we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I experienced that with this Italian girl. Her family was from Sicily.
Well, I think too, there's a difference in casually dating somebody and dating somebody for the long term, because you can meet somebody. This happened a lot in college. You can meet somebody and y'all are from two completely different walks of life. You like each other, you like vibing, you like chilling, but then you start learning, like, especially at that age, like people are heavily influenced by the important people around them.
Facts.
And it takes a while for them to get to a point where they are ready to say, you know what, I'm going to do me.
Do what I want.
Yeah. Takes a minute for that. So kudos to those people who are out there doing that. It took me a while to get to that point. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I grew up very religious.
Yeah.
I grew up one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Jehovah!
Don't do that. Oh. But yeah, I grew up one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So, like, very strict dating, very strict rules on a lot of stuff.
No presents for his birthday.
Yeah, but that's fine. I mean, you realize...
No, that's not.
You realize that if you have a good surrounding, like, they don't make you feel like you missed out. I don't ever feel like I missed out.
Yeah, they hit it so well.
Shout out to Mom. Shout out to Stepdad. Not hit it well, but they just allow, like, they know that they're taking something from you in that sense, so they give you something else on the opposite end.
Oh, that's fair.
It's compromise. But with that being said, like, there was a long time that I did not do things for myself. I did things because I felt like my mother was going to feel some type of way or was going to judge me. And as you get older and as you become a grown up and as you become friends with your parents, if that ever happens, or as you start realizing that your parents are a human too, you're a grown up, your parents are grown up too, you start understanding that at the end of the day, they want you to live your life in a way that they wanted you to, but at the same time, that's not an expectation. They just want you to be happy, healthy, and a good human being at the end of the day.
Happy, healthy, and a good human being.
Yeah.
That's what all males at the minimum should strive for.
Yeah.
Now,
so I'm 2 out of 3 of those.
You're 2 out of 3 of those? What was the third one you're not?
The last one.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Whoopsie. All right. If you look at products in society, they all have values, right? Apple knows the value of their phone. Even if we undervalue their phone and think it's a piece of crap, they're going to say, regardless, it's $2,200, but we'll give you this payment plan through your provider. I think the male's worth, what you are worth, what your value is, what you bring to the table has changed over time. And I think it's a good time to reset on how you should calculate your worth. Some of these things are not going to apply to you. Like if you're 17, 18, you probably don't have a huge asset to debt ratio. But if you're 40, then some of these things may apply to you. And
some of these things may not apply to you. Some of these things may offend you. But whatever you do not have sex in the champagne room.
In a what? Shared bedroom?
The champagne room.
In the champagne room.
I aged myself with that joke right there.
Also, don't have sex in a freezer inside a club because you might after you're done, lock yourself inside there.
That sounds very specific, Wham.
Very awkward when you are.
Wham, have you experienced that?
I have.
Okay,
I was
all right.
pulling the door.
That sounded like a very personal story.
I was pulling the door.
Yeah.
And then she just pushed it open.
Yeah.
Symbolism.
Yeah.
And then she dated a GM who always gave me free shots. All right, so look, what we're gonna go to, because he knew my worth. We're gonna talk through this list of things that hopefully will help you calculate what your worth is moving forward. And like I said, we're keeping it 100 with you. We're not holding back, but we're also not gonna be disrespecting women here, and we don't want you to take this content and then go out and like down people, because that's not the goal of this. We are not Kevin Samuel Jr.'s. We are not the dark Andrew Tates. We are just two brothers who feel like we want to give you guys game.
Yeah.
So first one's first, credit score. This is not going to apply to everybody. As a tax professional, Alan can give you more game than me, but I feel that as a male, your credit score is very important because this is going to allow you to be able to get loans, to get assets. How do you feel about that?
I feel like your credit score is indicative of something that starts long before that.
Financial literacy.
Financial literacy, but just responsibility at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you think about it, what causes people to get into debt? Mismanagement.
Bad decisions.
Yeah, mismanagement of life. A lot of it, the biggest part of it is ignorance. When I got my first credit card, I understood how it worked, but I didn't understand how the world worked. I understood you swipe on the card, you got to pay the bills off, da-da-da-da-da. But I was in college. So sure, I knew that you have to pay the bill off, but then I was working and I wasn't working because I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
So that did not correlate to me. Hey, look, if you're not working, you cannot be swiping said card.
Let me just butt in real quick to give you guys the full picture, because he's going to give me the full picture sometimes that I miss out, and vice versa. What he means is he went from working to not working, but through both stages, he was still having fun.
I was still having fun.
And
Too much fun.
And you still spend money.
I was still spending money. So, and that right there is kind of like indicative of just life ignorances that you just may not have. If your parents are bad at money management, you will probably be bad at money management.
Here.
Same. So it took me a long time to get out of that cycle of just having to learn it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was where a lot of my friend groups came in, a lot of the people that I met actually at the poker table, because you end up meeting people who have wealth, who have, even if it's on a lower end of scale, they have done things, they have experienced things, they know how the world operates. And that's the biggest life lesson. Soak in as much information as you can. Like, your credit score is just a signifier of how good you are at being responsible.
And don't get it twisted. You can have a 547, go to the club, pop a bottle, get some top. But when it comes time to getting a mortgage or getting an apartment by yourself, that 547 is going to come kick you in the butt.
And you have to think about what you want long term, too. I mean, and I think these are just the things that young people aren't thinking about, because I wasn't thinking about them. I think they're actually thinking about them a slight bit more now because of the internet. When I was 18, it was 2007.
Yeah.
The internet was not as prevalent. Like, we didn't have smartphones like we do now. So you couldn't just get information at your fingertips. Whereas I have, over the years that I was in college and right after, I learned a lot of things that my parents were not able to teach me because they just didn't know.
Yeah.
So I think that's important as well, is just kind of trying to find a lane where you start finding some understanding. If you don't know, ask. If you don't know, ask. If you do not know, ask. It's key. It's a very key thing. I started asking questions. I started learning things, and it's very, very important.
And here's one thing I learned. If you cannot manage your money correctly, do not use your credit card to gamble. It is very easy to use your credit card to gamble. But if you're not smart about not only paying that off, but paying the cash advance on both sides, the third party and your bank, you are setting yourself up for failure. It was not until I was 30, and I now realize why they say most men get it between 30 and 35. It wasn't until I was 30 that I said, you know what? I'm going to clean mine up. Mine was like, it was like It was like 7:04, but I was like, nah, bro, we got to really turn this up. So I put things in place and I put out a plan and I stuck to my plan. And there were some days where he would go out and I wouldn't go out. I was on the Xbox because that's free and I'm not spending money. And I was able to, put my credit score in a place where most black people say, man, that shit look white.
Can we?
Yes, and we're going to talk about that. White people don't own good credit. Yeah. White people don't own. They also don't own dressing professional.
They also don't own anything that is deemed correct or proper or anything. I'm from East Texas, from a small town. And one of the biggest things that you learn is that in spaces where black excellence is not prevalent, the common statement of, oh, that's white people shit, or you're acting white, or you talk white.
So you're telling me white people own talking
proper grammar?
Smart? They own English. Don't get it wrong. They own English.
They own America.
Right? And right now they are running the world, but every ethnic group has ran it.
Who run the world?
They don't own it, because if you're saying being smart is white, then what is being black?
Yeah.
Is being black sagging, selling, cooking crack? No, that's not it.
And it goes back to all the traditional, like,
it goes back to things before you were born.
Yeah.
Before we were born. But at the same time, we got to stop saying that. Now, to white people, you can say the N-word if you want. But if he hits you and he give me that look, I got to hit you, even if you're the homie. So don't say it, man. I don't want to have to.
Listen, if you're white and you're around me and you say the N-word, I'm not going to hit you. I'm just not going to associate with you, because I am not trying to
don't put us in a position where we're looked at our people to beat you up too. Yeah, right?
I don't care about you enough to catch case for you.
But if your homeboy look at you and he stopping somebody out, a foot might go in. So don't put us in that position. And also, once again, to our people, they don't own dressing nice and professional. I feel like the most dangerous people in the world are the people who tuck their shirt in and wear a belt.
Because those people have the power.
And most white collar crimes are not done by a tall T. They're done by a man in a suit. So I just want to give you that. The next thing that I think is a factor when understanding your worth and your value is, what do you bring to the table? You don't have to have assets, but if you have more liabilities or debts to assets, that's a problem. You can have a crappy car, but if it's paid off, to me, that's better than having a very expensive car note that you can't,
This is where we're gonna get into some conversation that teeters that line of
we're keeping it 100 today.
I'm keeping it 100. This is the thing. I was recently informed by one of my very, very close friends that as a black male who is educated, and I like to think, other people like to think, have my stuff together, have my own things, do not live at home with my parents, have my own items. You have to think of yourself as the catch. You have to, because you have to think about it like this. As for the longest time, a man has been like, oh, you got to go find you a good woman. You got to find you this, that, the other thing. And you'd be like, no, she need to find her a good man. And I don't say that is like one or the other is more important than the other. I say that both are important. If you're looking for a relationship, if that's what you're looking for specifically, if you're looking for a partnership, if you're looking at somebody to build a life with, you want somebody who has equal values and equal understanding as you. And there should not be a big juxtaposition of what you bring to the table and what they bring to the table. If you're looking for partnership, it should be somewhat close. And it doesn't have to be financial. It doesn't have to be in assets. It could just be in what each other puts into the relationship.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Because this is what I mean by assets, for example. Can you cook? Are you clean? If she is cooking the food, will you wash the dishes?
Yes. And it may not even be specifically that. It may be, if you do X, she does Y. And if you do Y, she does X. And if y'all both agree that neither one of y'all want to do X or Y, then y'all come to that agreement and y'all figure out how X and Y will get done.
Agreed.
Me personally, I'm not cleaning. I'm not clean.
I want to fold clothes for you.
I'm not cleaning. I clean. I do the things. I keep my home very tidy. But I'm not a cleaner like that. So you know what I do? I pay somebody. And that's how I operate. And you don't necessarily have to operate that way. If you find somebody who is like, hey, look, I want to clean and I like doing it this way, X, Y, and Z, cool.
So you prefer Dirty Maid?
No, actually, Lupita. Shout out Lupita. I've been with Lupita for about 2 years. She's a lovely, lovely Spanish lady. She comes, cleans my apartment. She only speaks Spanish, so gotta figure that part out. But she does a great job. And if that's where it takes for you guys, cool. If one of you says, hey, look, I like to cook, and the other one was like, all right, cool, I like to clean, cool, that works. If both of you say I don't like to clean, then y'all figure out how it's going to get done. If neither one of y'all want to cook, y'all figure that out. But it has to be both people coming to the part. One person can't just say, well, I don't do this, and the other person says, well, I don't do this, and y'all both just like, well, somebody's got to do it.
Okay, at a minimum, for me, I got to be clean.
Okay.
And I have to know how to cook.
Okay, you have to be clean, as in you have to clean yourself.
For a male to have a shot at a successful life, happy wife, happy life, all of that, at a minimum, he has to know how to cook something.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, because again, it boils down to what.
So how are you gonna eat?
How are you gonna eat?
Yeah.
I mean, if your setup allows for it, you could literally pay for all your meals at all different times of the day. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's not a deal breaker. It can be for you. You're like, I have to know how to cook for myself.
Yeah.
So like, this is what works for me.
But this is what I bring to the table.
And
because some women don't cook.
Exactly.
Some women don't cook.
Some men don't cook. And if a man meets a woman who doesn't cook, they gotta eat. And if a woman meets a man who doesn't cook, again, they have to eat. So there's an impasse. How do they get around it? If they're both like, we both like to eat out, if their budget allows for it and they make the money and they want to eat out, that's perfectly fine for them. You want to know why? Because that works for their relationship.
Don't do that.
I can't say don't do that. If your budget works for it.
Don't do that. You know how much money you could save on not spending the unnecessary fees on these third parties that charge you more.
We're not talking about
to deliver the food to you.
We're not even necessarily talking about that. We're talking like, you could go to Whole Foods and get a $10 meal every night. Like, is it expensive? Yes. Should you just for financial sake?
What's 10 times 365?
Okay. Are you asking for financial fake or for the sake of the relationship?
I'm talking about to calculate a man's worth, factors that involve calculating his worth, knowing how to cook.
Okay, if we're putting it on a
not living with your mom.
Okay, yes. If we're putting it on a grading
at 30,
scale, if we're putting it on a grading scale,
yes, grading scale,
yes. But that's not the, like, if you have 0 points in that space, that doesn't mean you are not worthy.
100%. Because if you have the budget to eat well, then it offsets.
Exactly.
But you can't be broke and not know how to cook.
Okay, exactly. But that's what I'm talking about. You have to figure out what works for your circumstances. Like, for me, I don't like to cook, but like, I have to cook because I can't just order out every single meal. I'm not a millionaire. So like, cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have dated people who were like, hey, I don't cook. And I was like, that's cool. Because the expectation for me to cook is not on top of them. If I cook, that's a huge plus because I know how to cook. But I don't, it's not an expectation that they have of me.
Thanks.
So like, each thing is contingent upon how it works in a relationship. So it's a sliding scale on all things. Like, hey, you may have 0 points in the cooking space, but like, you order your meals prepped, you order out, X, Y, and Z, whatever. You just have to know how to compensate for said things. Mm-hmm. Like, you can meet like, when you say living with a mom, like, as a person who wants to be seen as a palatable suitor.
I'm talking about from the Black community, because there are other communities where you can live with your parents and it's okay. The Asian community, the Indian community, and I know a lot of the Hispanic homies. The Catholic Hispanic culture, old school, allows for the man to still live at the home of his
and living at home. Yes, I would say don't live with your parents.
My mom used to tell me in high school, "I can't wait till you leave."
Yeah, but what about
got out?
Let's bring this topic in. What about as you get older and you have parents that are aging and their parents come live with you.
That's different.
It is different, but it is not seen differently in the eyes of a person who may be trying to make you a partner, because what they hear is different from the actual.
If you love your parents enough and you're successful enough to have your parents move in with you and she don't like your parents, that might be something between them, as long as you guys have been through thick and thin, you and this woman. But if this lady don't like your parents and their parents will come and live with you, that is a yellow flag. That's an orange flag for me. That's an orange flag for me.
He's like, we.
So between yellow, orange, green, what color flag is that for you? Now, let's consider Alan. Alan loved his dad, loved his mom.
Yeah, and if anything happened to my parents, I would have them come live with me before putting them in any type of assisted living.
So you were a girl 6 to 24 months in, and she says she don't want that, and
she doesn't like so are we already together, and then I have to move my parents in?
Yes.
I feel like as a partner, if she is a person who I have been trying to make my partner, she would have to understand that situation,
and vice versa.
Yeah, like my ex, her parents live in Ukraine. Her parents are getting older, have bad health, and when she was talking about it, she was contemplating whether she wanted to try to have her parents move here, and we talked about it. And I told her, I said, I would love for you to move your parents here. One, because they would be closer, and there's also a huge war going on in Ukraine. But at the same time, like, we are a partnership. So, like, if you get your parents over here and me and your parents have issues or it's like friction, that's just something we're going to have to figure out, because that does not throw away the whole relationship. It's not a deal breaker for me.
For you.
Now, for some people, that could be a deal breaker. I am a very amenable person. And I think it's one of my problems is that I'm a little too amenable, because I know where I thrive and where I don't thrive. And I'm selfish. I'm an only child. So
it's okay to be a little selfish.
It's okay to be a little selfish. But there's also, like, when we start talking about the dating world, and this is something we're going to get to, is that you don't have to couple yourself with a person. If you know yourself and you're like, hey, look, that's just not the life that I want to live, that's perfectly fine. We're talking about if this is something that you want and you want to be deemed as a high value. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't want to say high value, because that was Kevin Summers. I would say someone who's worthy of their worth.
Yeah, but okay, fair enough. We don't want to. I'm not trying to.
Because that goes into that space, and we're not trying to diss one. But I get what you're saying. You need to know what are your boundaries as a partner when it comes to the parents, and also as a child, and you have siblings. The older your parents get, you need to start having that conversation of how are we going to take care of mom and dad. There was a great book that discussed a lot of times the daughter will take care of the parents, but then the son will ask for as much, if not more, from the will. I personally believe if you're not taking care of mom and pops, you shouldn't get the same thing I get if I had to take care of them if they were in the house every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I saw my mom go through that with both her parents, and she has a brother, and they kind of went through a rift and they resolved it. But, I've got siblings, and I feel like straight up, if I don't do a lot, then I shouldn't get the same amount as my siblings.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in our culture too, we just kind of have this like singular mentality of, oh, like, they'll figure it out when we get older. Like we don't band together like I've seen some of our other brown ethnicities do.
Yeah, I feel you.
Like Hispanic folk,
they take
it'd be a cold day in hell before you find a Hispanic person in a nursing home.
You don't have to speak Spanish to know what abuela means.
And I got a lot of Hispanic friends, and they all pretty much either their people are self-sufficient or they live with them, and that's just thing. So like I always noted that, and I always saw that, and with it being feasible, especially because there are things that play into it. Like we had to put my grandma into a nursing home, but my grandma was severely overweight. She couldn't get around, so we could not maneuver her the way we needed to after the age of 88. So we just had to. It's a very sad thing the decline is very fast there. Whereas like my grandpa is 90, still lives by himself, he still gets around by himself, and he's one of the most cognizant, self-sufficient 90-year-olds that you'll ever meet. You know, so it's just each situation is very different. It is what it is. But just having those conversations with somebody you were trying to make a partner is very key early on, because what happens is you find that, I used to tell people this all the time, love don't pay the bills. Love don't get stuff done. You can love somebody till the day is long and they not be right for you, and they not be a good partner, and y'all just not mesh well. Lord knows I've been there.
You're looking at me like you know someone that I did not mess with.
No, I'm looking at you like I have been through this.
We have been through it
many a time.
We have.
I've been through it many a time. So that's the biggest thing that I've come to learn now. And I have been having these conversations with my therapist about dating.
Mm-hmm.
And the one word that I've taken away from it is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's dating, whether it's anything, doing things with intent. I used to do a lot of things with, I fly by the seat of my pants just because it felt good. Oh, I want to go here. I want to go there because it feels good. Doing things with intent helps you not make mistakes.
As you say, money.
Yeah. Very, very high on the list is doing things intentional with money help you not waste money.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the conversation, you're like, hey, look, I need to know how to cook. Being intentional, being like, hey, look, my goal is not to spend all my money on eating out. My intention is to be economical. I'm going to eat at home. I'm going to cook for myself. And that's a way more pocket-friendly avenue.
Bro, it ain't nothing like you cooking chicken Alfredo and have some white wine for a female. Telling you, bro, I forget, it was a movie where the dude was ugly, so he started cooking to get girls, and that's not why I did it. But I just felt like that's a nice tool to have in the toolbox.
Fair.
To be able to know how to pan fry a piece of fish, or
because cooking isn't hard.
It's not, and if you enjoy it, you're even better at it.
It's right here. Cooking is right here nowadays. There are a lot of things where I was just like, I wanna make this. Google, done, easy, and that happens.
Gordon Ramsay has a bunch of great videos.
Yeah, or just Jack on the internet has some good videos of just how to cook a piece of fish or a chicken or a steak or whatever. You know what I did one time? A girl asked me to grill some pork chops on a steak, and I have never in my life used a grill, so I had to Google it. I had to Google how to turn the grill on. And I spent 10 to 15 minutes trying to Google how to turn this grill on.
Was this like charcoal or electric?
Electric. It was at her. It was at her. I could do it.
Don't tell me it was at the pool.
It was at her pool. At the pool of her apartment.
So bad.
It was at the pool of her apartment complex. Yeah, and it was an experience because there was 0% chance I was gonna tell her I couldn't do it.
Did you have any gas?
It was there.
Okay,
I just had to figure out how to turn it on. That was it.
Turn the knob and
first time cooking pork chops, I definitely cooked them slightly over just because I was like, I'm not trying to have this girl die on me. It turned out okay. Turned out okay.
All right. The next thing that I believe allows you to truly understand your worth is your educational level. I don't care how successful you are. If you were over the age of 50, just go back and get your GED. Just go back and do it. Pay somebody to get it. Just because at least you got it. Somebody got it done, right? I think education is important.
You know, over the age of 50?
Over the age of 50. There's some people who don't have their GEDs over the age of 50.
Man, if you're over the age of 50 and you don't have your GED and you are making it in life, don't worry about it. That's my 2 cents.
Get it.
That's my 2 cents.
All right. What are your 2 cents about people who are doing 10 to 15 years in prison?
That's different circumstances.
Should they get there?
Yes, but we said making it. Yeah. We said making it in life.
I mean, some people are balling in doing Fed time. I know a couple. Free the homies. Okay, educational level. The reason education is important is because, for me, I think what college can do for every single person who starts and finishes it allows you certain skills. You can do a lot of things at a high level. You can multitask. You know how to, in many cases, not all cases, but in many cases, you can explain your reasoning. Right? It
gives you thinking ability. It gives you problem solving, stuff like that. But I will say this.
And we're not just talking about being book smart. You could be block smart as well.
You can be block smart and learn something. But this is the other thing too. I feel like, so are you saying that you feel like college is the way?
No, I'm not saying education level. You could also have a skill. You could be a foreman, a plumber, an electrician, a tax professional, but that is still education. Just not, that's why I didn't put it as higher education.
Fair.
Education.
Yeah. Learn, as they used to say, be a learned Negro.
I don't know. I don't know what that means, but it's my ace buku. It is fine. Don't leave me hanging. It's my ace buku. Kendrick.
Listen. Be a learned Negro. That's the thing. Is one of my skills that I like about myself is I'm very inquisitive. I gotta know things. I want to know things. I want to learn things. I want to better myself every day. I want
a great Scrabble partner. If any of y'all need a Scrabble partner.
Actually, that's not true. I'm terrible at spelling. What? I know words.
What word game do you play on your phone then?
I play Wordle. But I play Wordle because I'm bad at spelling, so it helps me with spelling. So I was very dyslexic when I grew up, and back in the day, we as brown people in Texas don't really acknowledge certain like learning disabilities and stuff like that. Yeah. So I just had to develop a lot of coping mechanisms to get by because it didn't affect me to the point where I could not get my stuff done. I was still, a very honored rolled student in school, but
an honor stroll or
honor rolled on a stroll.
Yo, one of my hardest trolls is if I'm debating with somebody, they say a word, but spell it, they can't spell that.
I can't. I'm telling you. Conversations, bro. No, trust me. I will bust down a word for you real quick. I'll break it down. They'll be like, "What is that?" And I'll be like, "Oh, I'll break down the definition of it. You asked me how to spell it? No. My phonics not great.
Gwen Stefani taught a lot of us how to spell bananas.
Fair.
Come on, sign it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my phonics ain't great. And it's funny too when I work phonics. When I was an executive producer for TV, people would always ask me like, "How did you get this job?" Because 90% of my job was making sure the words went on the screen correctly. That's it.
So when they asked you this, was it because the words weren't there?
Oh, maybe. Like, it wasn't until I became executive producer that it was fine because then I was checking other people's stuff. When I was a line producer, oh, baby, I would misspell stuff. I'll never forget this. One of my first bosses, shout out Neil Barton. He was a real one. Because he was just from the old school. And at the end of our newscast, we would have posts, and he would have every employee on the show stand in the newsroom. And we would go over all the things that were wrong with the show in front of everyone, in front of every single person. And if I tell you that's not the most humbling experience, because he would pull out the script and he'd be like, this word right here, who wrote this? And it wasn't necessarily like to embarrass you. It was just like,
that's how the real
accountability.
It
was accountability, exactly. And you wanted to not be in that space, so you just did better. We don't have a lot of that these days. We don't. We live in a society where we give people participation trophies.
That's what it is.
Yeah, we don't want to set nobody off. I have a friend who works in HR, and she's an HR manager, and she always tells me stories about how she has to tread lightly. And I was like, fam, the people back in the day, like pre-2012, these people didn't give it. They didn't care.
In 4th grade, I had to put my hand out, and a long ruler got smacked right here.
Oh yeah, you went to a black school.
Yeah, you can't even do that at home.
When I was young, my teachers had the permission to spank me in class, and I would get another spanking at home.
How did I get the combo with cheese?
Double. Can I get a double Big Mac? Double Big Mac. Wait, no, I don't want that. Yeah. I don't want that. Yeah, I was getting it. And my dad he worked 5 minutes from my school, and he had an hour lunch.
So he could beat you and still go back.
So they would call my mom. My mom would call my dad, and he would show up in his post office uniform and everything at the school. And he would come to and this is back when they had like Like you got the school class and the glass is up here. So you just see people walking and you're just sitting there in class. You're like, that's my dad. That is my dad. He's coming here. And he would walk to the door.
Why does he have 2 belts?
He'd come to the door and he wouldn't acknowledge. Yep. Teacher up there just teaching. This is East Texas black schools.
So if you didn't have this, you grew up very lucky. Okay.
But I think this is part of the problem with the younger generation too today is that they don't fear consequences. They don't fear consequences. Like
we didn't fear consequences. We did bro. Come on, we didn't.
I feared consequences because I knew that in any given moment I could do something and my dad was gonna beat my ass.
What about for somebody who's being raised by his mother, his grandmother?
And
there's no father figure in the picture.
It doesn't matter because you're the people who raise you can still instill consequences in you. And I think that's very key. Like, we live in a society where people raise their kids and they're like, oh, I don't spank. And you're like, not every kid needs a spanking.
Yeah.
Like, I have some friends of mine who grew up and they were like, my mom could look at me and I'd start crying.
But I do feel that if kids are spanked, the amount of school shootings would go down.
I agree with that. But that's consequences.
Because the kid who ends up doing that would just go and punch you in the face and then y'all fight and then they get to go home. Versus they don't punch you in the face. They're angry about what you said. Yeah. They get on Reddit for him and then they come and blow your head off.
And then they go home and fester about it, right? Manifesto. And then they're like, that's why I'm always nice to the.
For sure. The dudes who hunt but have never been in a fight in their life, watch out.
Yeah. And the one who literally kind of hangs to himself, make friends with that guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy who some goes down, he may remember you. He'd be like, that guy was always nice to me.
And we're going to talk more about it later, but just real quick, before we move on to children, we as black people, we got to stop making fun of each other so heavily out in the open. We need to, I feel like there should be a rule.
Save your friend group.
Because look what, we made fun of Mike. You know, we've made fun of Little Kim. We've made fun of many of our, Michael Jackson.
Who did?
We made fun of so many of our people to the point where let me ask you, if you think after that Pepsi incident, if he was embraced by his people.
What Pepsi incident? The hair?
Yeah. He was embraced.
Look, trust me. I don't think the Pepsi incident was the downfall of Michael.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There is other things. I'm just saying we should be embracing each other more than not.
I think we should too, but I think that's hard because our culture is very tough love. We are a very tough love culture. A lot of the stuff that I've learned that has really stuck in my head has been tough love.
For sure.
And I think there's a difference between that. But the Michael Jackson thing, I think that's a whole different level of breakdown.
Yeah.
You have a lot of things going on. A lot of insanely talented artistic people have a lot of demons.
Yeah.
And it's tough because
Did he touch some kids?
Michael Jackson probably touched some kids. I don't know. I want to say no, but he probably did. And I wasn't there. I don't know.
You gave me 2 answers. You gave me 2 answers.
No, I didn't give you 2 answers. I gave you 1.
No, probably.
I said I want to. My heart of hearts.
We can run this back.
My heart of hearts.
We can run this back, bro.
My heart of hearts. I want to say, for the sake of all things good, that Mike had inappropriate relationships with them children, but he did not touch the children.
I want to just say every mistake children make go back on the parents. Not just that specific example, but it goes back on the parents.
Yeah.
There's a way other examples.
I think it's different because people at Diddy parties went to them Diddy parties.
But those were grown people.
Those were grown-ups.
There wasn't any...
The people who were staying at Michael Jackson's home were children whose parents let them go. Because if I ever had a child and Drake or The Weeknd or somebody that I hold in high regard artistically was like, hey, we're having a party at my house. Invite all the kids. I'd be like, you know where you're not going?
You're not going.
You're not going there without my supervision.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, I'm there.
I'm there. With the pistol. Come on. Come on. Try something if you want. Bing, bing.
Hey, we're going to take all the kids into this room over here. No, we're not going to do that.
Not my God.
We're not going to do that. But I think what happens is we get disillusioned with people who have money and who have power, and we let them do things. Because you think about, like, we're going down a deep rabbit hole. But when I think about the R. Kelly and the Bill Cosby and the Diddy, none of these stories come without people who were like, yeah, we knew this was happening. We just looked the other way. Because it was Bill Cosby. It was Diddy. It was, I don't care. I don't care.
Okay, you are.
Care.
I feel like a lot of people have infatuations with famous. All they are is their name, their birthday, and they got a little bit more money than you.
Yeah.
They still bleed like us.
And you think about it, like I used to talk about this with athletes. People hold athletes in such high regard. Like, he calls himself Meta World Peace. But I know him as Ron Artest. Ron Artest is just a nigga from the hood. He's just a nigga from the hood. They played basketball real well. And he became famous for that. But he's still just a nigga from the hood. And at the end of the day, when you provoke a nigga from the hood, it's like an animal.
You're gonna get a malice.
You
better not
get a malice. You go get a malice. And you do not want to be in the palace when the malice is gonna happen. Because that's just what happens. I mean, you provoke somebody and they're going to revert back to their natural instinct, you know?
Mm-hmm. But you know what? Meta World Peace is a good father.
I'm not saying he's not.
And that's the transition we're getting into. Knowing your worth, children, okay? I want to say this. Fellas, stop having kids until you're ready. Because you are putting your children through a hell that you walked through. I had many siblings growing up. I have 13 siblings total. My parents at the age of 28, I believe, each had at least 4 different children, not including me.
By 28?
By 28. So that's 9. That's 9 kids.
Yeah. And at 28,
it was hard. Yeah, my parents are a little good now. My mom is doing straight now. But my biological father, a lot of his kids don't talk to him because of the mistakes that he made growing up. I understand his mistakes now. I speak to him. And that was something that I had to do. I had to get over my grandma calling me and saying happy birthday instead of him, because talking to him now as a grown man, I understand some of the things that he went through with not only my mother, but baby mothers that he also had. So I say that to say I would have never had them kids if I was him. Yeah. So fellas, there are something that you really got to think about. Am I okay with having sex unprotected with this woman who is not on any type of thing? Or do I not care about buying birth control?
I think the other thing that you need to factor into this too is you are having a child is one of if not the biggest decision you can make in your life. You're bringing somebody else into this world, and they have to function in this world at some point without you. They have to function through society. They have to function through life things. They have to function just getting out and making it. Which, as most of us know, it can be difficult. It can be difficult if you don't have the foundation and the right support along the way. I mean, most people don't. Most people don't. So that's very key when it comes to bringing in another life into this world. A lot of the people who I've found who are doing it more successfully than others, male-wise, 28 and up.
I like the Jay-Z plan. Have a kid at 35.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't ever want to have children. I don't. But
do you pull out? Come on, we keeping it 100. I don't want to have children, but I also want you. Come on, bro. You gotta keep it 100 with these kids. You gotta keep it.
That's fair. Okay, fair enough. I will be honest with you. I have not been as proactive as I should have been through the years. This is a lesson learned. As I've gotten older, I have been trying to be, because I don't want a 35-year-old accident. Don't want that. So yeah, like, you have to, again, intention. You have to be intentional. So like, moving with intention, my intentions are not to have a child. I need to do things that will not allow that to happen. And that's very, very key.
And fellas, I know it feels better, bro, but to keep it 100 with you, you know, when the time comes and it's you and the lady and you pull out a condom, you're going to go up in her mind more times than not. I'm sorry?
Huh? Condom suck? What?
If you show up with a condom.
Yeah, they suck. What?
All right, then. Look, you can
no, seriously.
Look, just because I show up don't mean I use it all the time. But showing up just shows like you ready to go this route instead of that route.
But just be mindful. Being mindful of where you are, where the person you're with is. Yeah. I mean, mistakes happen, but try to be intentional with what you're doing, because having a child is not like getting into a car accident. It is not like getting a DUI. It is not like
I would say
your
having
stack.
a baby out of wedlock.
I would say having a baby, period, is not like any of those things, because even when you are with a partner and even when you feel it is going well, there are unforeseen circumstances that come when you have a child.
Yeah.
Postpartum depression is huge for women.
Mm-hmm.
Being with someone who is mentally ready to be a parent, a co-parent, a partner parent.
Miscarriages
happen.
a lot.
Like it honestly, it's really hard to get pregnant. It's actually funny that I have a lot of friends who are in the process of trying to have kids, and you don't realize how difficult it is to have a child, because growing up, it'd be like,
unless your berries are black. Black of berries.
well, unless you're dating a Latina, then
Oh my God. Okay. So once again, I said baby out of wedlock. I just want to take a step back. Baby out of wedlock means that you weren't married to get right.
It does mean you're married, but I don't think
that being together.
Yeah, and I don't think marriage is you don't have to get married. If you're like, hey, look, this is a partner that I want to be with. We have both decided on this. We have talked about it. We are intentional about it. That's regardless.
I'm talking about somebody that you hit 3 times and then got pregnant.
I'm talking about somebody that you don't have any intentions of raising a child with. Whether you, I've met a ton of women in my life who I would love to be. I'm not gonna say love. I wanted to be partners with at the time.
Yeah.
But I would never have a child with, because I don't think that we would raise a child together well.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
That's okay. That is perfectly okay. But it's things you have to think about. It's things you have to. We're not saying no or yes to anything. You should have to think about these things.
And so once again, don't be a deadbeat dad. A lot of people will use kids as weapons. Sometimes I wake up and I'm mad at my parents. I gotta go to work, but I love what I do, so that kind of rolls me out of that, right? But don't be a deadbeat. Don't be hateful. Don't put what you went through on your kids, because you have to remember the kid didn't have a choice to be here.
Correct. You made the choice for the kid to be here.
Not only and for y'all who are arguing, no, you had a 24-hour span after you knew you did not pull out, after you knew you exploded in there. You had a 24-hour span to say,
hey. Use the word exploded.
Exploded.
He did use that. It was fair. That's a word.
It
was a word choice.
Yeah. Bust.
Chose that word.
Bust to me is for poker.
Okay, we don't have to talk about it.
You gotta explode chips.
Okay. God,
you can't explode. Look. There is a TV episode which is hilarious to me. It's from Succession, and the guy used that word, and I thought it was great. So the next thing that I think is important is family values. When I die, I would want on my gravestone that I was a brother. My mom asked me to go find my little brother, who's about an hour and a half away from Austin, and he had removed himself from the family chat, and she was very worried. I went there, and she was like, just leave a letter and leave, because I had work, and I was like, nah, I'm going to call out. I'm going to make sure I find my brother, because my mom told me when I was younger to always protect your siblings. And I really ride by that. That's why homies that I'm really close to, what's mine is yours. And so I think family values is very important. If you and a member of your family are beefing and it is resolvable, be the bigger person.
Yeah.
Show them this video and tell them, hey, I think we should have a conversation.
You'll hear something growing up too. Heard this a lot. It's a term that we've made very popular. Homies over hoes. And while that is true, hoes never get any love. I'm a hoe as well, so I get that, homies over hoes. But sometimes
I'm not calling myself a hoe. I'm not gonna do that. But I love horchatas. All right. Homies over hoes.
Homies over hoes. When you get to a certain point in life, again, homies over hoes, we're talking about not actual hoes, but like when you get into a partnership, I have a lot of friends right now who are in the space of 5-10 years in relationships. And there comes a point when your partner is your most important person in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we should embrace that a little bit more too, on the younger side too, because I feel like what happens is I see a lot of people getting in relationships that they probably could thrive in, and they just don't have the tools to thrive in them at the time because they just don't know, or they may have these ideas of like, oh, I got a girl, but I can't let my individual. Like, if you want to build a partnership with a person, cultivate that. It's very important. I have a buddy. I've known him since college. It's my boy Tim. Shout out Tim and his wife. They just celebrated 10 years together. They got 3 beautiful children.
Tim was eating Chick-fil-A every day.
Tim wasn't eating Chick-fil-A every day.
Okay, so he wasn't faithful.
Oh no, yeah. Well, I was.
Shout out to the.
Well, I don't know what that meant. I was confused.
You also are gonna realize later what the Dirty Maid thing meant, but we'll be
I thought that was the name of a company.
That would be wild. But anyway.
Yep. Tim and
Tim's been faithful for 10
Tim has been faithful, and
a full 10 years.
Yes, full. Tim is one of. If I were ever going to be in a relationship,
you'd want to be a Tim.
I would want to have half the grain of emotional understanding in a relationship that my boy Tim has, because Tim used that word that we talked about early on, intention. Tim was very intentional when he pursued his wife. And I remember the years when Tim wasn't intentional. I met Tim in college. I met Tim because Tim was dating a young lady, and she was outside our dorm in the hallway. And I walked outside, and I was like, oh, she's cute. And I'm like, oh, she's crying. And that was Tim's girl at the time. I've known Tim for a long time, and I've seen the things. But Tim has made it a point to be better. And when he got his wife, he made it a point every single day to be the best husband that he could be for his wife. And it wasn't easy. He did not lead on for it to be easy. Like, I've seen where the struggles have been. I've seen what they've gone through, and they work at it every single day. And one of the things he said, they just had a revowing, 10 years. And he said this, and it stuck with me. I can't tell you anything else that he said up there, but he said, every day I wake up, I choose you. And I think that was poignant because, again, love don't pay the bills. You can love somebody till the day is long. Sometimes you may not even like them some days because people's personalities, whatever. But when you partner with somebody and you make them your person, you have made a decision. You have said, I choose you. And I'm going to keep choosing you for whatever agreement we have made. And that sticks out to me. So when I see people in relationships, my first question to them is, when you wake up and you look at that person and they have made you absolutely upset, what's the first thought you have? And 9 times out of the 10, the first thought that a person in a healthy relationship should have is, yes, I am mad, but I'm still going to take care of this person because it's my partner. I've been mad at my best friend. I've been mad at most of my friends. We've been mad at our parents. Don't mean we don't love them. Don't mean we still want to take care of them. I used to tell my girl all the time, I'm never going to let you go hungry. We in this. I can be as mad as you. I'm never going to go sleep on the couch unless I got gas. I will do that. That'll happen. But we're in a partnership and we're going to figure it out. And we choose each other every single day. And the day that you stop choosing your partner is the day you shouldn't be in that relationship anymore.
Keep it 100, bro. So you might outgrow where you're at in life, and if somebody doesn't want to grow with you,
or you just may grow apart. Like you're growing in one direction, that person's going in another direction.
It's okay,
and that's okay. But being honest about that and being intentional about that and communicating that, because what happens a lot of times is people start growing apart, and then they will get silent. And then that's when the resentment starts, and then that's when the drifting starts, and then you'll find yourself in the arms of another person. And I'll be there waiting. I will be that person.
What his point is about family values is most of the time, people who can have a communicative relationship with their significant other also has an okay with their siblings. And sometimes it's not going to work. Sometimes your siblings just ain't going to ever forgive you for something you did when you guys were 7 years old. But
siblings are people who are close in their life, close friends. You can see how a person treats a partner by how they treat their friends.
Exactly.
Their family, and so the people close to them.
Yellow flag if if your partner is treating their mother or their father or their siblings like crap, like how you think they're gonna treat you?
Yeah.
You know. And so the next thing that I think is something important is criminal history. Fellas, if you have an F on your report card, if you do a crime and you don't have the money or you don't know the lawyer, you don't have the resources to get that charge dropped, and you end up getting an F on your report card. And if you don't know what that means you have a felony. Depending on that felony, your ceiling could be capped in certain places. And so please make sure you're thinking very hard when you're making these decisions that could put you in jail or that could put you in front of a jury, because doing some research, I found out that like close to, let me get you the actual number. This is from the CDC. There's 20 million black men in America out of 165 million men. 1.1 million is incarcerated, and 1/3 of black men have a felony. So that's 6 million. So let's just be generous and add that 6 with that 1.1. And in reality, it's less than that because those numbers are tied together. So that's 7.1 million. So that's 30% of black men in America have a felony. What the fuck? Let's stop that. Let's start talking to our boys like, bro, you don't have to go crash out. Do you have the funds to go to jail if you're going to go fight this person? Are you not already fighting a case? Do you need to be barred out in the club with a strap on you when you have ops currently in the area? You know, that to me, in a way, is a factor that you need to think about when you are, you know, looking at what your value is, what your worth is. Because I'm going to keep it 100. Once again, this is not for ladies, this is for the homies, but ladies can take this. If your boy doing that, he probably not the smartest person.
That is true.
And he probably don't care enough about him, which means he probably don't care about you. So you could end up getting in trouble or have to put yourself or get yourself out of a situation because you're around this person that just, you know, ain't good. Like I got a lot of homies I rock with. After 9 o'clock, I switch it up.
And you have to figure out if these homies are people that you actually like would go down for as well. Because there are very few people in this world I'm trying to go down for. And it gotta be the right reason. And most of the time, if it's happening in the club, it ain't the right reason.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I've told my boy multiple times. I was like, if you got to do with family, I'm there. We got it. You need something for the fam, we'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. If it's frivolous shit out there, let's just walk away. Because, again, like, you got something to live for. You got things. We want healthy lives.
Your pride is not worth getting shot.
If you don't, this isn't for you. This is not a conversation for you.
Yeah.
You know, crash out if you want to.
Not around me though. I don't want to be in the area.
You just let me know that you're gonna crash out, so I can be gone.
And crashing out ain't fighting. Like I can get beat up every day of the week, but still go home.
Yeah.
Right. But when it comes to like, nah, we're not fist. We're using guns. Like,
the fisticuffs.
You got it. Every time, all the time, twice on Sunday. Another thing that I think allows you to kind of factor your worth is social skills. Like,
Key.
I know rejection is very serious, but the greatest athletes have failed many times. How many times have Steph Curry missed a three? Right? But he wouldn't be able to have made those threes and have the record for the most threes if he hadn't tried. So
Gotta take shots.
I think a lot of days now, more dudes are good on the internet than in person, which, you know, is a skill, but also you need to know how to communicate with people face to face.
This one, I want to talk about that for a second. How much time we got? I want to talk about it for a quick second. I just posted this on my Instagram today, actually, and it breaks down from when people started like tracking dating. 1930s.
I saw this, which is why I included this.
Yeah, 1930s. Most 25% of people met through friends, and 20% of people met through family. 16% met through school. 0% people in 1930 met on the internet. You want to know why? Because it wasn't any
Because it
internet.
wasn't.
Okay, obviously. And then you get to a point where we live now.
2024?
2024.
21st century.
Yes. In 2016, it increased dramatically. Now 60% of people meet online. 60% of couples meet online. 20% is 15% is through friends, 8% through coworkers.
Now, I want you to just realize that 60% probably will include you're out somewhere, you meet somebody, and instead of getting their number first, you got some form of social media.
No. That's an in-person meeting. Y'all connected through social media. It's like getting somebody's phone number. We're talking about.
I disagree. I think those are two totally different things. For someone to give you their phone number and for someone to give you their social media.
But we're not talking about the connecting part. We're talking about the meeting part.
The meeting.
The meeting part is what we're talking about, because when you meet somebody, I like to call it meeting people in the wild. When you meet someone in the wild, you get a very different perspective of that person. When you meet somebody on a dating app, there's an expectation. There is already this set standard of what is this person going to be to me. I am looking to date somebody. I am looking for somebody to date. I want to meet this person. I have a set idea of what this person is going to be in my head. So when you meet them, you're not just saying like, do I like how this person sits? Do I like how this person operates? When we sit across from each other, I'm going to start ignoring those things because I'm trying to think about like, I want this person to be my partner. Oh, I've looked at these things on paper and I've seen this person. I've accepted a date with them, whatever. Whereas when you meet somebody in the wild, you can differentiate. Is this person going to be a friend? Is this person going to be a friends with benefits? Is this person going to be my next partner? Is this person going to be my soulmate? Like, you can differentiate those things and start a relationship based off of that. Some people you meet on a dating app are never going to be someone you're going to be with. Even if all the things that they check all the boxes on the profile. Mm-hmm. But that does not mean that they could not be a good friend. They could not be an important friend in your life. I met a lot of women on dating apps that ended up being friends.
What was your favorite?
What was my favorite dating app?
Which one did you crush the most?
Be honest, POF. POF was my favorite.
Tinder. I was all in it.
Tinder was great. I actually met my girlfriend off Tinder once, but POF was great because POF was down for it. If you were on POF, you knew what the business was.
Bro, Tinder. Met her on Tinder. I was all in her. Thought I turned her into a sinner, but she wasn't a beginner.
Yeah. I met a chick on POF. She was like, yeah, I got 4 kids. And I was like, babe, you're 25. That's strong.
Did she tell you if it was the same baby father?
Of course not. It's POF.
I be okay, plenty of kids.
I met a girl at POF. We had one date, and it wasn't even a date. We had been talking to each other. She texts me. She's like, hey, I'm trying to pick this thing up for my son, but I can't fit it in my car. And I was nearby, so I went, put it in my car, dropped it off at her house. I got to her home, and this is no judgment. I was 25, but I got to her home. She didn't have any furniture. It was her mom, and her kid that lived in this place. And she left her kid there with her mom, and she came back to my home. The first time that we ever met face to face. And we didn't ask.
And that's okay.
We didn't ask him disgusting things to do. It was okay. But that's just a different caliber of what's going down.
Yeah. What you mean?
Furniture. She had have a couch, and she didn't have a bed. There was like a pallet.
Did she just move? All right. We're going to move on to, all right, fellas, you need to have goals and ambitions. If you're going to sit around and play a video game all day, that's okay, as long as that can put you in a position to where you can make some money. We didn't make the wheel. We're just telling you how the tires turn. As a man, you need to get some chicken.
If you want to be
No, bro, you can't be broke in 2024. I'm telling you right now, the world is going to chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah, you know what? But some people, that's all they got in life. They're like, hey, look, I just want to go to work. I want to make my money, and I want to play my video games, and they don't care what happens. And for those people, again, this is not for you. We're talking about
people who have goals and
We're
ambitions.
talking about people who have goals and ambitions, because you don't have to have goals and ambitions. But if you do have goals and ambitions, you cannot be doing these things.
Your goal could be to beat the game. Record yourself beating the game in the fastest time ever.
That would be
that's hard.
That's a goal and ambition. I think that if you have goals and ambitions that live outside of that, there's no issue with having fun time, but it cannot be all consuming. Because one of the biggest things I used to hate having this conversation with my ex. She'd be like, I hate guys that play video games. And I was like, why? Why is that? And she'd be like, I dated this guy, all he wanted to do is play video games. And I'm like, yeah, he had a very unhealthy relationship with video games. That is not all men, and that is not every man who plays a video game.
Yeah.
I like to play video games on my phone. Now, I'm not spending days on end playing them, but like sometimes when I sit down on the couch, I want to play a little video game on my phone.
That's okay.
And that is okay.
Because you have goals.
But I have goals. And I likened it to her, and I told her, I said, when you sit down on the couch sometimes, you want to watch 90 Day fucking Fiance. I don't want to watch 90 Day Fiance, but I do that with you because I know that's important to you. But while we're doing that, I'm going to play this game on my phone, and we're going to sit here, and I will be engaged with you. I'm not going to ignore you. We're going to have it, but that should be okay.
Could you date a woman that didn't? We're not going to answer that. We're not going to answer that because that would then get into that area that we don't want to be in. But what I will say is, I do believe, fellas, that if you have goals and ambitions and you are with somebody who does not, that could lead to a lot of resentment down the road when you see your success and you want them to have the same type of feeling and success, and that is not having. And for me, it's a little bit different than other guys. I feel like if I don't work out with someone, but we still have goals and ambitions and we can build on that, right? The relationship might not work out, but we have a business or we have something on the side that's making some bread. I still feel like it was successful, right? But if I am pulling the horse, I would want someone to assist me. And some people don't want to do that, and that's okay. But you need to know that you need to have that. Regardless of if they have that, you need to be able to have goals and ambitions that you are actively chasing.
And your goals and ambitions don't have to be someone else's goals and ambitions either. They just have to align with your partner if that's the route you're going to do. Like I've dated people who are like, I want to build a business. I want to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's do that. Let's grow this thing. And there are other people who are like,
I wish I would come across a girl who
I don't have any desire to do that. But they have a different set of goals that they want to do. They want to better themselves in a specific way, and that's okay too. It doesn't all have to be going in the same direction. You have to find a lane that works for you, but you need to figure out what that lane is. And then as you're trying to build a partnership with somebody, you have to figure out what lane they're going in. And you have to figure out if y'all's lanes go in the same direction, because y'all could have two very strong paths and they could be going opposite directions, and that's okay. But it's never going to work out because y'all going opposite. So that's the biggest key, I think, a lot of times when it comes to looking for a relationship and cultivating a relationship and looking for partnership. I met a girl who I was seeing in Dallas. She owns a gym. She has a kid. She is starting a new business. She was great on paper, but at the same time, she had a lot of things that she was working on that were pointing in that direction, and I have a lot of things that I'm working on that are pointing in that direction, and they did not mesh.
With a girl like that, I make it work out. I would make it work because you have a drive, and I think that's so sexy. Beauty is there, but like a girl who has a drive. Man,
but what if that drive is just, and this is just for the sake of asking the question, what if that drive is in a completely different direction than the drive that you're going in?
I'd be her cheerleader, bro.
Okay, and I feel that, but what if the drive takes y'all in different paths where y'all cannot cultivate said relationship?
But that's different than just,
yeah.
I'm saying.
The point I'm trying to make is just different paths and different spaces can take you in different ways, and that's okay.
And the point I'm trying to make is, fellas, you need to do something besides just playing video games all day, unless the video games is taking you in a place where you can get some chicken from it. The next thing is being a wingman. Being a wingman. And you don't have to be able to have the ability to go up to a group of 4 girls with your homeboy, and while he goes for the one he wants, you are able to entertain the other 3, okay? Because that is, to me, the definition of a wingman.
Mm.
And I think I can do that. I think Alex can do that. We're very good at that. I can talk to you and flirt with you and have no intention of ever getting your number. And you could have a boyfriend, and I could still have a fun conversation without, intruding in your personal space or getting in those type of conversations, right? By the way, fellas, no woman is ever really taken. But being a bad wingman is something that if you are that, you need to get that out of your skin. It may be as deep as your DNA, but you need to remove that.
What's your definition of a bad wingman?
Okay.
Or what does that mean?
We have it here.
Oh, he was ready.
You throw your friend under the bus because they said something and she laughed, and you felt some type of way that she laughed because you like her, but she like him more than you. You need to stop doing that. Stop throwing your boys under the bus. I would never say something around Alan when another girl's around. That's personal. I would never say something personal around another dude who is not in that circle, who don't already know. And even then, sometimes when they already know, you still don't bring it up because you don't know how that other person is feeling.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be a universal rule. If you're, obviously they're not your friend, if a male says something around another individual or group of people that they shouldn't have said, and we all know what those things are because they're sensitive, you punch them in the shoulder. That way, if I ever see someone get punched in the shoulder, I know they're a hoe. I know I should be weary of what I say around that person because they might tell the world.
I think I agree. There are things that definitely should not be said, especially in the wingman's space. I don't think it's indicative of. I think some people just don't know sometimes.
Well, we're telling you right now.
You be more cognizant of it.
Be more cognizant.
This is one thing that I have. Yeah, I mean you have.
Is that what you want me to tell you know who?
Yeah, I tell them that all the time.
Be more cognizant.
Yes, be more cognizant, and vice versa. Like, because what happens sometimes,
and what we're talking about is, Alan liked girl D, okay, and then another guy liked D as well. This man is in a whole relationship.
Yeah, we're not talking about him. We're not talking about that. But I say that because
that's what
I thought you were talking about somebody.
Yeah. So are you telling him to be cognitive?
No, but again, that he's not my friend.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about like say for instance, if me and you went out somewhere and something was said and you just like someone said and then you just off the roll of a tongue just kind of like said it, I wouldn't take that as you being malicious and trying to throw me under the bus, but it was like be cognizant of what you're saying because it can be deemed
for sure.
X, Y, and
I
Z.
get you. But I'm saying
like if me and him were friends and he just said that, because like in any other setting, like if you said that,
yeah,
I wouldn't have taken it the same way.
But I wouldn't even said that.
And I get that, but that's what I'm saying. To you, I'd have been like, just be more cognizant of like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, so you're agreeing. You didn't say that. That's not how you, because he said that to a friend.
He said that to someone because he is an envious person. He is a jealous person. So that's different.
Okay.
That's why I say we're not friends. Like, if we were friends, he may have said that and then he would have caught it and thought about it and realized what was happening. Or he would just never have said it at all.
Even if you don't rock with a person, you still shouldn't throw their business out there.
That's me. Look.
Be James Bond with it. Be James Bond with it.
I don't care about you, so I'm not going to talk about your business.
I used to always say, if it's not my plate, it's not my problem. And then I've changed that to, if it's not on my plate, I don't care how it tastes. No one else's life is never more important to me than my own. Okay, and so a lot of y'all do that. Sneak dissing and stuff like that. It's not cool.
Yeah,
it's not cool.
Anything that I would say to someone that isn't, anything I would say about somebody who isn't there is something that I try to make sure that I would say to their face.
Even then, Alan may say to me,
but I wouldn't say it in mixed company. I'd pull you aside and be like, it's a very nuanced thing. But the gist of it is being a good friend. Honestly,
don't be telling other people business, bro. It just
that's the key. That's
not it. Another thing I believe is, can you date outside your ethnicity?
Is that a question?
No, that to me is like a factor of value.
Oh, like,
Can you bag somebody that don't look like you? Like, it's cool if you play defense and you can dunk. But can you hit that three? Can you hit that turnaround? Can you hit that step back?
listen, I'm not a utility player. I know my lane. And sometimes you gotta know your
How do
lane.
you know you can't do something if you never try?
Because it's not about trying. And it's not about that. I could do it if I set my mind to it. I don't want to do it. Therefore, I can't do it. And that's kind of the way that I say, like, and I used to have this conversation with my buddy because I always said this, and I was like, I think it's a verbiage. I can't do it because I don't want to put the effort in to doing it, to be good at it. Like, I can't be a great pickleball player. I don't want to put the time on the court to become a great pickleball player, because if I did, I would. So that's kind of the thing. Like, and you have to think about that in a relationship standpoint. Like,
okay, dating may be a word that should be used. What about being able to at least talk?
I think as a human being on this planet, you should always strive to be a better communicator.
Yeah. I will take that, because as a man who went to school to study communication, I don't have the best or I didn't have the best verbal. I usually was nonverbal, but now I'm getting better.
Like, just learning, because communication comes in so many different facets and ways. Like, and that's another thing about dating online versus meeting people in the wild.
Facts.
People will communicate things to you in front of them that will be more important than you having 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks of conversation with them in messaging on the phone. Face-to-face meetings, you would learn a lot about a person. You would learn about a person's little idiosyncrasies that you need to know if you are trying to create a partnership.
Facts.
And
then last but not least, something that I believe is maybe one of the most important is health. You who eat unhealthy will die a horrible death. It will not be fun. And that's not what I want for you. So make sure you're being healthy. What's a good example? Do you actively do some type of cardio? One of the things when I lived in a house that I saw that always struck me as odd is, like, I saw a lot of people walking that did not look like me. I lived there for a whole year, bro, and I would get outside and jog and do things. I only saw one time somebody that looked like me as a male walking with his wife. And his wife did not look like us. So I think health in the black community is very important. It's very important when we eat. Like, let's keep it real. Fried chicken is great. Collard greens are great. Looking in the Hispanic community, them beans and rice are great.
Can't live on them.
All 6 of the main dishes that involve some type of gluten are great, but they will kill you. They will lead to a
They will kill you. They can kill you in unhealthy quantities. And that's the thing.
Yes, and also if you don't work out.
Yeah. Or if balance is very key. But yeah, like, I think growing up, especially here in the South, as a black person, there's certain things that were never taught to be important. Like, all my fair-colored friends, fair-skinned friends.
Fair-skinned friends?
Yeah. The things that I learned from them over the course of years were just things that you were like, it's interesting. Like, this was never a conversation.
Yeah.
And I think things need to be. Like, I look at my grandparents and I look at my parents and I look at the things that they don't put any type of priority on. I mean, one of the reasons why I even started trying to be more healthy is because I saw pictures of what my parents looked like at family reunion, and I was like, that's a sedentary lifestyle right there. Mm-hmm. That is a lifestyle that is, I don't go on a walk. I don't get up and be active. And it's not about just being active, being outside the house, not living a sedentary life.
Go get a gym membership.
The rat race, even that, yeah, sure, go get a gym membership if you can afford it. But if you can't, just get outside and walk around the block a couple times. Just be active. Go do something. Go play a sport. Pick up a hobby. Like, do something where you're not just in front of a screen or sitting at the house, because the sedentary life is the life that will kill you.
I'm talking to dudes, and once again,
I'm talking to all black folks. I'm talking to all people.
I'm talking
all humans.
I don't. There are certain things that females go through that males will not ever understand. I know a lot of these medications that they are given by the recommendation of a doctor end up doing things to their health and their weight, and I respect that. Also, I'm not talking about the older individuals, because I would never try to come at an older individual.
I would. I'm gonna come at older.
But to you young guys, if you have more time to eat food than to spend $20 a month on a gym membership, it's a problem. Make sure you're healthy, because I'll tell you this right now. One day I'm going to throw a 6-pack party, and you will either have to bring a 6-pack or you will have no shirt on. This will be on a boat. So this will be great, okay? You don't want to be one of those people who bring beer, okay? There's a lot of easy things you can do to make sure that your health is right, but the biggest thing is the will to change, okay?